Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
Hi, I'm DKWILL, and this is DK. We'll talk about it. In my most recent video, I said that I would try to do a video giving a little bit more information on ETFs and XRP, of course, but also a little bit of education on ETFs because many people aren't familiar with what they are. So I'll try to squeeze this into a very brief, informative video. This article here from 2 days ago showed that the SEC did formally accept Grayscale, XRP, and Dogecoin ETF applications for review. And so ETFs are exchange traded funds. And it says here that the US SEC has acknowledged proposed rule changes that will enable NSE ARCA to list and trade shares of both being the Grayscale XRP Trust, converting it into an ETF, and the Grayscale Dogecoin Trust, converting it into an ETF. And according to the Bloomberg ETF analyst James Seifert, that begins a 45-day review period that will commence upon publication in the Federal Register. Now, the Federal Register, if you'll see here, is a publication that is published every weekday, except on federal holidays. So there won't be any delay on waiting for that publishing of in the Federal Register. And it says that both proposed and final government rules are published in the Federal Register. So the SEC has formally acknowledged it. And one thing that makes this particularly noteworthy can be found here, I believe. Yes, this is it. And I'll also address some confusion. This is the first time the SEC has responded to an XRP ETF application amid its ongoing lawsuit against Ripple. So that also points to perhaps the lawsuit being the dead duck that I referred it to in the prior video, that maybe this lawsuit is just over. We do know, as mentioned before, that we have a crypto-friendly administration with the Trumps. As a matter of fact, Trump and Melania both came up with their own coins. And so one thing is noteworthy is some of the timelines. It talks about a 45-day review period will commence upon publication in the Federal Register. And when we look at this article, that's for ARCA. I wanted to show you what ARCA was. ARCA is, because it mentioned it over here, New York Exchange ARCA, to list and trade shares of both. And ARCA is the top U.S. exchange for listing and trading exchange-traded funds, and it trades more than 11,000 U.S. listed securities. So that's the only reason I had that there. But we also noticed here in this one that it said that the SEC has acknowledged the filing, starting a 240-day review period. So that can create a little confusion, because here we see 240-day period, and over here they mentioned a 45-day review period. So that says a lot. Which one is accurate? Well, that's what we're hopefully going to come through. They both may be accurate. And if you like the content I'm providing, please make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, and then come back for more DK Will Talk About It. Continuing on, we can see that this development, the filing, especially the acknowledgement of the Grayscale XRP Trust application, was highly anticipated. And we could see it reflected in the price as it was anticipated. Many didn't understand the rules and probably were expecting an immediate approval. And let's be sure the approval could come faster than ones expect. It could take longer than ones expect. But like the article brings out, while Grayscale's ETF proposals aren't a done deal, just because they acknowledge them, it's a positive sign that the regulator might be warming up to crypto investment products. So we've already addressed that. They're absolutely warming up to investment products because the current administration is, warmed up to investment products. We know that, oh my goodness, Brad Garlinghouse and Alderati met with president and had that infamous picture that we saw of them sitting there with thumbs up. And even if we were to continue in this article and scroll down, we would see that it talks about Trump's crypto policy evolves. So we know the administration is pro crypto, and they're being installed federal agents pro crypto. So that's not a problem. But we also know that there was a filing for a 21-day public comment period for applications, and that's pretty normal to file for a 21-day public comment period. But not only did Grayscale file their application, the New York Exchange Arca also filed the 19B4 form with the SEC last month, seeking approval to list and trade this trust that the application was filed for. So there's a lot of things stacking the deck for a positive outcome for this application. And that positive outcome for the application should have a very positive impact, as it has already begun, a positive impact on the price of XRP, which saw a nice increase over the last few days from about $2.28 to about $2.78, roughly. That's the range. I'm not here to give price quotes. So to try to clear up what's going on here, we have to understand that actually two things have occurred. Grayscale has filed their application for the XRP and Dogecoin ETFs, while at the same time, it's the New York Stock Exchange, which is the self-regulated organization, New York Stock Exchange ARCA, that actually filed the 19B4 form with the SEC last month. And that form was submitted last month on January 31st. So we got two timelines going here, and it can be confusing. So when we read about 240 days and 45 days and things of that nature, here it says that the 45-day review period will commence upon publication in the Federal Register. So what's going to get filed in the Federal Register? Well, it's the proposed rule change that's going to be filed in the Federal Register. So then we will begin our 45-day count from January 31st on that item, when the 19B4 was filed by the New York Stock Exchange, not Grayscale's application. Two different things. And so we know that the Federal Register is published daily, which is good for our timeline. No slowdown there. And we know that this is the first time that they've responded to an ETF, which is equally promising. So what I did was I took a look at the actual form. The actual SEC Form 194B used by the Securities Exchange for proposed rule changes by a self-regulated organization. A self-regulated organization would be things like the stock exchange and that nature. A self-regulated organization, you have a list of them down here somewhere as examples: the New York Stock Exchange, the Chicago Board of Trade, the American Council of Life Insurers, Financial Industry, FINRA, which is a part of SEC really, Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, the Options Clearing Corporation, the Fixed Income Clearing. You get the point. Those are self-regulatory organizations, and what self-regulatory organizations are able to do, they have the power to set industry standards and regulations through their own efforts. So that's the New York Stock Exchange. In our situation, that's the self-regulated organization. Made it this far. I'm sticking this in the middle of this video because I believe the timeline works out that in March 17th, we're going to see something significant occur with XRP, the ETFs, the New York Stock Exchange, something. And it's just a guess, but it's here because you made it this far, and I'm going to stick this in here for you. So as a self-regulatory organization, the New York Stock Exchange is required to file the SEC form with the SEC before making any changes to its rules, specifically with regard to trading rules. And switching from a trust to an ETF would require a change in the trading rules, because I believe these ETFs are going to be open-ended investment vehicles. Okay, DK, what are you talking about? Well, how about we take a look here? What's an exchange traded fund? How to invest and what it is. Now, for the sake of time, we can't go in depth, but what we will do is get an idea of what an ETF is. It's an investment vehicle that pulls a group of securities into a fund. As its name indicates, it can be traded like an individual stock on an exchange. So, in other words, it's like taking um, a whole bunch of different fruits and putting them in one bag and then offering the bag. I guess that's the best way to say it. And the fruits don't have to be the same thing. One could be an apple, one could be an orange, one could be a Cardano, and one could be an XRP, and so on and so forth. So, an exchange traded fund, and that's not the only type, can hold multiple underlying assets, can be bought and sold on an exchange, much like an individual stock. It can be structured to track anything from the price of a commodity, like an XRP, to a large and diverse collection of stocks. Some are on indices, like one that tracks the S&P 500. The very first ETF in the United States was the SPDR S&P 500 ETF, or SPY. So they can be designed to track specific investment strategies. Various types of ETFs are available for investors for income generation, speculation, or hedging risk on an investor's portfolio. So, an ETF is something that can be traded on the New York Stock Exchange. In this instance, they will be able to trade with XRP being the foundation of the fund. Those who buy the ETF will buy the ETF, they will not be buying the XRP. So keep in mind that we're dealing with two different things here. We're dealing with the New York Stock Exchange filing the form with the SEC for the 19B4 rule change as a self-regulatory organization. And then we have the multitude of entities like Grayscale and others who've put applications to be able to offer the ETFs on the New York Stock Exchange, ARCA. And so in this article here, these are the general instructions from the SEC.GOV that gives instructions on how a little bit of a timeline for you. And I recall that page 25 is the only one I'm going to bring out for the sake of time. This video is already longer than I want it to be. And so let me hurry up and get this taken care of. On page 25, 23, 24, and 25, we're talking about the self-regulatory organization statement of purpose, but down here, date of effectiveness of a proposed rule change and timing for commission action, timing for the SEC's action. It says here, within 45 days of the date of publication in the notice of this notice in the Federal Register, or within such longer period up to 90 days, that's where an extension is offered, as the Commission may designate, it finds such longer period to be appropriate and publishes its reason for doing so, as to which the self-regulatory organization consents, they will by order approve or disapprove such proposed rule change, or institute proceedings to determine whether the proposed rule change should be disapproved. So basically, we're looking at a 45-day window for the New York Stock Exchange Form 194B to receive its approval. On the other hand, when it comes to the reality of the filing for the Grayscale and others, like I mentioned, Grayscale and others, it says with the regulator, meaning the SEC, has previously acknowledged several applications for crypto-focused ETFs, including Solana, Litecoin, and Dogecoin. And this latest acknowledgement is significant because it's the XRP. But as we read down, we can see, where is it at? I'll find it. They gave themselves a timeline right here. Read up first. The Securities and Exchange Commission has set itself a deadline for a decision on whether it will allow an exchange traded fund tracking the price of XRP. What is the timeline they have set? Well, it's down here. All of these applications that I just referenced up here, and all of these applications, the current outstanding ETF applications will receive a decision in October. So that's the timeline. I don't know how many days is October. I didn't have time to count. It's 11:50 my time, and that means it's time for me to stop talking to you about it. I'll try to do more, maybe down the road, but for now, that's all I have. I tried to explain the process and what's the takeaways. The takeaways are we have two things going on at once. We have the New York Stock Exchange filing the form with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the 194B, for a rule change, and not just the Grayscale XRP, but all crypto asset-based ETFs. Then we have multiple applications from various projects who are filing applications, various management firms who are filing applications to sell the ETFs on the New York Stock Exchange. And then we have the timelines. Basically, between now and October, it's going to be over. I guess that's the best way I can say it. And this is DK. We'll talk about it. And I've talked about it. Have a wonderful day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.